What if you could take that risk, make that change, reach that goal, live your best life? Welcome to another episode of the What If You Could podcast, where we get together with amazing experts and everyday people who share challenges, encourage healing, and explore the possibilities that life has to offer. I'm your host, Gary Scott, and I'm excited that you're along for the ride.
Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of the What If You Could podcast. And my awesome guest today, with the incredible shut up and grind right behind him, which I love, is Mr. Robert B. Foster. Hello, Robert B. Foster.
How you doing, Gary? Nice to. I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm used to hosting. Thank you for having me.
No worries. Trust me, you do not want to host me. I suck as a guest, right? I'm just sitting there going, I don't know, man. I'm supposed to just ask shit. I don't know what to say. Don't ask me anything. I don't want you to know anything about me.
Oh,
People
that's
say, "You want
great.
to come on as my guest?" I'm like, "No, no, I don't." But I'm glad you're here, though. I'm glad you're here. So I'm gonna fire
Thank you.
off your intro real quick, and then we'll get going, so people know who we're playing with. So, everybody, today's guest is Robert B. Foster, a transformational speaker, coach, and author who has made it his mission to help people conquer self doubt and unlock their potential. From being told that he would never run or jump again, watching his father pass away, to donating a kidney to his sister. Robert has lived a life defined by resilience and grit. Through his signature talks, his podcasts, and his books, Shut Up and Grind! I fucking love that. Shut up and grind. I love that. He empowers audiences to embrace their struggles as stepping stones to success. Whether you're battling fear, self doubt, or lack of direction, Robert's powerful message will inspire you to rise above and master your own story. Let's welcome Robert B. Foster. We did. We did. That's awesome, my brother. I can't wait to
Let's
get into
go.
all that. Can't wait to touch on all this stuff, your book, your father, all your stuff that you're working on. But with the What If You Could podcast. So, Mr. Robert B. Foster, what is your What If You Could?
It's what if you could believe in yourself? Because my
Mm.
podcast and my book are about overcoming self doubt. So people always say, "Well, what if this doesn't work? What if I get laughed at? What if I don't do it right? What if I fail? What if I can't do it?" And that's where the shut up and grind comes into play. It's like it's not about like some hosts will ask me, they're like, "Why do you go around telling people to shut up?" I'm like, "No, no, no, no." I said, "This is for the readers, so they can hush up their own inner voices, that imposter syndrome, that self doubt. It's like just imagine what you'll be able to accomplish in this life when you stop doubting yourself, when you start saying, what if this does work? What if this is meant for me? Like, what if I am in the right spot?" And then you take that newfound confidence and you channel it into the things that you want. Like you read in my bio, I've been through some stuff, and one thing that's not on there was in 2023, I literally lost everything: house, car, kids were split, walked away from my business, dropped the keys on the desk, and walked away. So I've been in that dark place. I've been there. And I turned the lights back on, relit the fire in my soul, and here we are today.
I love that, man, because initially you think of shut up and grind, you're thinking of professional athletes, politicians, people like me, right? Just shut up and play basketball. Shut up and throw a football. Shut up and govern, do something. But really, the truth of the matter is we need to shut up our own negative thoughts in our head because we just get the shit kicked out of us every day by our own mind. And it's like, dude,
Yep.
just shut it up. Just take that focus and put it somewhere positive if you can. And I think that's what you're helping people do is refocus.
Yes, because in anything that you go through, regardless of how awful it is, there's golden nuggets that are left behind. And to illustrate this, so one of my former clients, she reached out to me a couple years ago, and I finally connected with her, and she tells me that she found her brother and he was dead. in his apartment. All right. And so I was like, oh, okay, okay, like this is like serious. So I went up. She's also in she's a fitness coach. So I went up to her gym. She's local here in Rhode Island. So I went up to her gym and we just sat and we just talked for a bit. It's like I listened to her, got her story, what she went through. And I was like, I asked this question, are you ready for the reframe? Like she's got
Wait,
tears.
wait, wait. Are you what?
Are you ready for the reframe?
Reprint. All right.
Reframe. Yeah.
Reframe. Ready for the
Yes.
reframe. Love that.
Yes. Yeah. And so she's like, yeah, she's like, this is why I called you. She's like, because I know you're good at, sifting through the mess. And I said, well, issue number one is you're stuck on what happened. You're stuck on what you saw. And that's terrible. And you will never unsee it. I said, just like I will never unsee my father's last minute of life. Like I'll never ever. It was actually 6 years ago yesterday when he took his last breath. So but if I get stuck in that place, I'll never move on. Right. So I told her, I said, you just have to reconcile. Like the first step is acceptance. You have to reconcile with the fact of what happened and what you saw. I said, but that story doesn't start until you left his apartment. Right? I'm like, you have to pick up from right there. What were your initial thoughts when you got in your car? Did you just sit there in disbelief or did you immediately drive away? When you walked into your apartment, what was the first thing you did? Who was the first person you called? What was that conversation like? Right. So when you expand the story way beyond the what happened, then you start to uncover the golden nuggets that were left behind. Like going back to my dad. So I was 45 when he passed away. I interviewed people on my show who either had abusive fathers, had absent fathers, fathers who were passed away before they were even born. And I had mine for 45 years. So then you instantly switch over to that gratitude and you started thinking about the things he's built, the life lessons he gave, how he was always at my sporting events. He quit a job to come to one of my track meets because they couldn't give him the time off. Like he was always present, always present. And he was like the original shut up and grind. He was an engineer. Like he would build some outlandish things where my siblings, my mom and I, we're all looking out the window like, what the hell is he doing? But whatever he set out to do, he got it done. So I know I segued a little there, but when you get beyond the what happened, that's when you start to remember stories like that one. And then, so back to my friend, I said to her, I was like, so you can take this gym and you can make it more than just about fitness. I said, you can put pictures of your brother all over this facility, get like some of those bubble stickers and write in some of his best one-liners. Because, we all have our one-liners, right? Everybody has them, right? I said, write down some funny quotes, write down some of his smart-ass remarks and make this place a memorial to him. But for your target audience, bring in women who have gone through devastating loss. So now you do, say, 35 minutes of fitness and 25 minutes of just people sharing stories.
Yeah, I love that so much, and yeah,
that
and
is the reframe.
yeah, reframe. I love that. And being from Long Island, the guy had some serious smart ass comments. You know that for sure. But but I love that. And it's so
Thanks.
true about the stories that we tell. It's a story that we tell. It's like my wife died of cancer and is at the hospital. Just literally died in my arms. Sat up, boom, dead.
Wow.
But how I tried to reframe it was how amazing was that opportunity? Some guys die in war, some guys, people die in a car crash, some people just pass away, you don't get to see them. But to hold her and look in her eyes one last time, those beautiful green emerald eyes, right before she just went
Yeah.
boom, was a gift. But
Mm.
for not for 6 fucking years, it wasn't a gift. For 6 years, it was wicked bad, right? It was like nightmares,
Yes.
stress, everything. However, just like you said, if you turn that and you go gratitude, love the word gratitude, man, and reframing. I had to reframe it and go, what a gift. I got to spend 28 years with her since we were kids, and I got to spend the very last breath with her. That's a gift, man.
Agreed. And going back to my dad, I want to say there was probably about a dozen of us around him. And this was November 18th of 2019. So this was just before the world went to hell, right? Where he literally would have been alone. So he had three generations of us around him. They were able to unsedate him enough to where he was responsive to us. Like he couldn't talk, he had tubes all in him, but he could at least, shake his head, nod his head. And so each one of us got to take turns saying goodbye. My mom sang him a song, and then we gave the cue to end care, and we watched him take his last breath. It's like to me, honestly, that's awesome. To your point, one of my other clients, her father just dropped dead out of nowhere at 62. Just completely blindsided their entire family. And so going back to gratitude, like we look at his ending and it's like, I kind of aspire to that. It's like, I want to be able to say goodbye, and not have to stress, like knowing it's coming in a matter of minutes, my time here is done, instead of stressing, is today today, right? So that was like a beautiful, beautiful moment.
So how do we do it, Robert? How do we take people like myself through the grief, or people like you said? I mean, a bunch of people got their ass kicked during COVID. I got my ass completely wiped out during the 2010, Great Recession. People go bankrupt. People lose spouses. They lose children. They lose pets. A lot of people just lose their shit when they lose their pet. And so, how do you get them to kind of reframe that story, that tape that they keep playing of the pain, and I'll never get over it type of stuff?
Yeah, like so when it comes to moving forward, and this one thing I want to state is I am a college dropout. I do not have a medical background. I speak from the storytelling perspective, right? From the totally storytelling perspective. So if people want to move on, you have to let go of what happened. Like I know I stated that earlier, because you can't go back and undo it, right? It's like what happened happened. So going back to the example I used earlier, like the second we left the hospital room, the second Waleska left her brother's apartment, that's where you have to pick up the story. You got to pick it up there. So now, right, the more you expand the story, the further away you're moving from what happened. Because what happened is what hurts, right? That's what hurts. So the further you move away from that, and then you start seeing the golden nuggets, you start remembering the funny things they used to say. But then somebody needs a good shake, right? And just the further you expand the story, the more reconciled you become with what happened, and then the easier it gets for you to tell that story. Because I'm sure when your wife first passed, you probably couldn't have told it that calmly. And same thing with me. When my dad first passed, I had a podcast the next day. Right? And I'm always preaching on my show about showing up. I'm like, you got to show up. Like life hits everybody. Like you got to show up. And so I showed up for it. And my guest had booked 4 months prior. And that episode was about grief. Who would have thought?
Wow.
Right. So that was probably my most tear-filled episode. Because for me, I've always been a just take life as it comes. It's like I don't want to prolong pain. And I know people get there at a different rate. I'm just sharing how I do it. So I showed up for that podcast, and my guest and I, like I said, we bawled probably 30 out of the 60 minutes, both of us, because her son was murdered at 29. So just going through what each of us went through. But what it did for me was I got on a public platform on a live stream and just let it flow. There was nothing to hide behind after that. There was no shame. There was no nothing. I did it publicly, and then I was able to put the pieces back together and then start telling the inspirational side of him getting sick and then ultimately passing on.
Yeah, that's wicked, brother. That's wicked for sure. I mean, my buddy and I started a podcast called Grief Pie because I lost my wife to cancer. He lost his wife to cancer. So we thought we'd help walk men through the process because men don't talk, man. Men are pussies, right? They just won't talk. They won't share. So we thought, let's share what our experience. Well, I mean, we spent so much time just crying and bawling and just fucking, it was a disaster, man. We're like,
Yes.
we can't do this, bro. This sucks. But I love the term moving forward. That's such a crucial thought. It's such a crucial way to frame stuff because people go, well, I don't want to forget my loved one, or I don't want to forget all the memories or let us go. It's not, no, dude, no, 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 no. You're not forgetting them. You're not letting go of this. You're just moving forward because every
Yes.
day you just have to move forward that little bit so you could get through what you're going through. The memories are always going to be there, and you got to cherish the memories. Like you said,
Yes.
write them on the wall. The stupid shit they said, the stupid stuff they did. I mean, and help you move forward. I love that term.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a photo of him right here.
Right
It's right
on.
on the wall. Yeah, right on the wall. There's another picture of him with my nieces and nephews. There's one of him with my mom at a Halloween party, him and my mom at my niece's graduation. It's like, you keep the memories, like, but you're not moving on from that person. You're moving on from what happened, and getting people to
Yeah.
understand that it's a little tough in the beginning, but it's like once you surround yourself with what was left behind, now that moving forward becomes easier.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And when we're in the shit, like you said, what initially happens, that happens. Okay, that's what happened. You can't change it. There's no way around it. But like you said, when you leave the apartment or you leave the hospital or you leave the cemetery or whatever what the start of this is, that's when your story starts. And however you're going to
Mm-hmm.
frame that or reframe it is how the rest of your life is going to function. Because you and I both have talked to people who've lost somebody, and for the last fucking 20 years, they can't get over it. It's like, dude, I
Yeah.
understand it's painful, but you've just lost 25 years of your life. Which would they have wanted you to have lost 25 years of your life? I don't think so.
Bingo. Bingo. See, I have a quick story to share on that too. So, one of my former clients, he lost his son at the age of 9. So we had a big class, and during this class, I see him. He's up against the wall, like he's got his head up against the wall, and I can tell he's in his feels, right? So I gave him a few minutes, and then I come over to him and I put my arm around him. I'm like, "B, what's going on?" And he's sobbing. He's like, "I just miss him so much." And I was like, "Man, it's like I understand." So I just take a couple deep breaths, but then I asked him the money question. I said, "Do you think he can see you?" And he's like, honestly, yes. He's like, I do. He's like, and do you think he likes what he sees right now? I go, does he want to see his father back out here in this gym kicking ass and making him proud? And so he just kind of looked at me at first, and he's like, you're absolutely right. And he got back into the class. And at the end of the class, like, he came over and he was like, thank you so much for that. He's like, I needed that.
That is
Going back
that
to
is so
the,
awesome.
are you ready for the reframe?
Reframe. Yeah, my wife was a badass Colombian, man. She was a Colombian woman. So I'm
Mm.
familiar with the Colombian necktie and all sorts of Colombian cartel torture methods. I'm familiar with all of them because she used them on me. But but so my friends would say to me, they'd go, dude, you think April wants to look down and you're being this whiny pussy? And no,
Mm.
she'd kick your ass right now if she saw what you're doing. Now, you can't talk to everyone like that because we understand grief can be
Yeah.
deep. Not everyone takes
Yeah.
that type of reframing sort of talk. But for me and
Agreed.
for that dude, you knew that guy could take that, right? And people knew that
Yes.
I could take that. And it's just what I needed to hear because she would have. She would have grabbed me by the throat and said, look, all 5 foot one of her would have grabbed me by the throat and said, look, mofo. But there's different ways to help people reframe, and
Yes.
since you're good at this and you could read people real well and you've been through so much, you kind of get a feeling of which way maybe you could help people reframe stuff, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. So someone that needs a more empathetic approach, and you just have to move on from what happened. Absolutely. There's four main personality types, right? There's leaders, there's doers, there's thinkers, and there's feelers. So knowing how each of the four operate, how they receive information, what motivates them and what stresses them. So now as you're dealing with each person, you'd be like, all right, I'm dealing with a feeler here. All right. So I can't come at them with the bullet between the eyes approach, or with the thinker. I know that they're gonna have 5,000 questions. So I had to be prepared to answer all the questions. The leader wants to understand my process, right? And the doer is just like, tell me what to do. So right, so it's like, and you can find that in any workspace. Like I used to manage restaurants before I got into fitness, and you have those people. Why do we have to do this? This is so stupid. It's like, boss said we have to do it. Just do it. Then you get the people who are just working. Then don't yell at me. Why are you raising your voice at me? Right? It's like it's a real thing. So once you understand how those personality types work, you'll know which approach to use with the reframe.
Dude, it's New York, all right? We all raise our voice, okay? That's what we do here, all right? If you don't like it, go to freaking Georgia or something, all right? Because that's what we do here. But it's interesting when you talk to people and we're working with people and stuff. There is that weird fear of letting it go. Sometimes it's like their identity. It becomes people's identity of the grief and the loss. It's like, oh, I'm a whatever. What is it called when your wife widower? I'm a widower. I'm a widow, or
Widower, yeah.
I'm in mourning or whatever. It's like I get that. I've been there. You've been there. I've been there. Millions of people have been there. At some point, that's no longer your identity, right? And I think that's where you're reframing and your shut up and grind is stop telling yourself that story that this is your identity and this is where you have to stay for the rest of your life, because this is not true.
Facts. So with my podcast, I ask every guest the same starting question. And I started to have to tell them before we went live, because so many people can't answer this question. So I had to tell them, beforehand. So while I was doing my intro and my monologue, they could piece together what they wanted to say. But the question is just, at your core, who are you? It was like, before you got married, before you had kids, before you got your career, before all of that stuff, you had a set of values, and those are your core values. So you had mentioned earlier about me being told I'd never run a jump again. And initially, when I heard that, I looked up at my now ex, and because she knows how super active I am. Even at 51, I am very active. And so I was like, never run a jump again. It's like, I have 5 kids. At the time, they were 9, 6, 2, and I had twins who were 4 months old.
Oh, fuck. You've got to run, otherwise you'll escape. You've got to run after those little suckers, man.
For real. So I'm thinking, so I'll never be able to play basketball with the twins, or volleyball, because I played all high impact sports growing up. I'm an avid hiker. I like doing obstacle races, and I went down the rabbit hole for about 30 seconds. But when I always answer that question, when people ask me, who am I at my core? My first answer is I'm a competitor, right? So as I was going down that rabbit hole, competitor me jumped out and was like, yo, he doesn't know us, right? It's like, how does he know how we're going to heal, right? So I was like, you take care of the surgery, I'll take care of the healing, right? Because I know that the brain prepares the body, right? The brain. So whatever you focus on is going to prepare the body. I see this in the gym all the time. It's going to sound like a stupid example, but I'll use box jumps as an example. Right, yeah. Box jumps. Everybody has a certain height to where their inner little bee comes out, right? So right. They'll be sitting there and they're like, I'm like, just go. I'm like, you're worried about falling. I said, worry about making it. Right? Worry about making it. So every day of my rehab, I never once said if, hope. I didn't say any of those non-committal words. I said, when I walk again without this walker, when I walk again without this wheelchair, when I run again, when I jump again, when I compete again, right? And I spoke in total absolutions, like this, like, because the doctor said it's like less than 10% of a full recovery. The competitive me was like, that's all we need, right? That is all we need, right? Less than 10%. All I heard is I'm coming back. And it was about 2 years, right? It was a little over 2 years from when the injury happened. It was July 19th of 2009. My first obstacle race was September 3rd of 2011. And now, coincidentally, along these same lines, in between there, I donated a kidney to my sister, right? So that was February 26th, right? Not February, I'm sorry, May 26th of 2011. And that obstacle race was September 3rd, right? So now they took the kidney out right through my belly button, right through there. So I remember talking to the surgeon about this race coming up. I said, because now I'll get to kill two birds with one stone. I'll get to come back from being told I'd never run or jump again. And I can defy the odds of coming back from this kidney surgery faster than anybody else. And so I'm talking to the surgeon. He's like, I don't really think this is a good idea. I said, oh, I wasn't asking permission. I said, I'm telling you, I'm doing this race on September 3rd. And he's like, that's only 3.5 months. I said, yep, put that in your notes. Right? Put that in your notes, because that race is happening. And he tried to fight me the entire step of the way. But I was like, again, at the end of the day, you work for me. That's how, like, you work for me. I'm telling you, do what you have to do to get me ready for this race on September 3rd. And then finally, he just gave in. He just gave in and just gave me like core strengthening things to do and stretches and how to massage it and all this other stuff. And finally, he just gave in. And even now, recently, I've had a knee injury since April of 2024. And they've given me the cortisone shots. They've given me steroids. They've given me fancy braces and all this other crap. So I go to see, I had an MRI finally, and I go on this past Monday for the follow-up. And as I'm talking with the surgeon, now this guy has done 2 of my surgeries. He's done a right knee scope and he did my right elbow, but he doesn't do replacements. So the MRI showed that I would need a partial replacement, right? So he says, this is definitely coming down the road. And I said, why down the road? I was like, why can't we just do it now? Like, if it's coming, right? If it's coming, why are we going to mask it for another year or two? Right? When we can just do it now. So he says, well, this is my recommendation. He says, I want you to wear this brace for 30 days. And I said, I want to talk to the surgeon. And he's like, yeah, it's like after 30 days, I said, no. I'm like, my deductible renews in January. I said, I want to talk to the surgeon ASAP. And he's like, well, you don't have the information yet. I said, yeah, I have the information. You said this is imminent. That's all I need, right? You said this is imminent. So why am I going to give you 5 or 6 extra office visits before I have the surgery? That doesn't make any sense, right? So now this was Monday. I go this Friday to see the surgeon. And I already have my talk ready for him. Like, I want the surgery before January, right? And I'm like, and if you can't do it, I'm going to call every knee replacement surgeon in the state until I find someone who can do it before January. And then I bet you it'll show up, oh, I can do this day. It's like, you have to advocate for yourself.
Man, you have to advocate for yourself, and like every area you have to add for your, I don't even want to talk about my medical stuff, but yeah, I found that I had to do that. But I love what you're talking about. Again, it's come to reframing, it comes to the mindset, but it also comes to the verbiage, like you said, the verbiage that you use, what you say, how you say it. Like when people say all the time, it's like, man, I wish I could do that. I'm like, well, why don't you? Well, blah, 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 blah. It's like, no. If you wish you could do that, let's set up a plan. Let's get you from here to when you're doing it. What do you need to do starting today so that you could do it? Because a year from now, you're going to be sitting back and going, oh, I wish I could do that. It's like, dude, you could have already done it, but you just didn't. So it's the fear, it's the belief in yourself, it's the judgment from other people. Like, oh, I don't, if I, what if I fail? You know, what, like you talked about the blocks, right? I suck at blocks. If I
Yeah.
do, if I, my wife could, my new wife could do like four of them. You know what I mean? She's like a little monkey. I'm like, go 1 foot. I'm like, oh shit, I think I pulled a hammy. Um, so I don't even fuck with the blocks. It hurts my knees. But you know what I mean? I love how you are reframing the verbiage. You know, it's not about I want to, or I wish I could, or I can't, or any of that stuff. It's like, why not, doctor? Slice open my knee. That's what you do. You're a surgeon. Well, I got a knee, and you're a surgeon. Let's put us together and let's fix my fucking knee. Right?
Yes, absolutely. It's like I deal with that in the gym all the time too. Like just this, I think it was Monday. One of the women had a kettlebell, and I said what the exercise was, and she just looks down and she's like, "That's too heavy." I said, "You didn't even pick it up. You didn't even pick it up. How do you know it's too heavy?" It's like going back to that ER doctor. All he did was he took off the brace that the EMTs put on and just said, "You're never gonna run or jump again," just from looking at my knee. Granted, my kneecap was displaced by about 4 inches, so it definitely didn't look good. But it's like we didn't even do the surgery yet, and you're already trying to tell me how this is gonna go. But the problem is too many people will just blindly listen. Like when it comes to say the stock market, and it's like, oh, this stock looks hot right now. You should put $1,000 on it. Well, what if I lose it? What if you 100x it? I'm sure both of us sitting right here can admit we've spent $1,000 on stupider things than a chance at 100xing it. Right?
Oh, hell yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's like I see that constantly where people doubt themselves before they even get started. And going back to your point about like, well, why don't you do it? Because people think everything has to be perfect. Like this background here is probably my seventh edition. Seventh, right? Like
I
we
get
mentioned the
that.
book earlier, right? This is my third book cover, my third one.
I
Like the
get
content inside
that.
is fine because I would rather just get it done and get it out there because you can always improve. And then I said, I don't know if I have the old one, but like the old one, the way I drew it up in uh in the
I liked the old
program.
one. Is that the Kindle one? I
No, no,
liked the
no. The
Kindle one.
Kindle one came out fine. That's why I didn't match it to this one because I
Yeah.
liked the way that one came out. But the printed version did not print the same way, and so
Ah.
but I still sold them all, even with that hideous cover. Right? I still sold them all. Right? So people have to understand things don't have to be perfect. Like the way I speak now isn't the way I spoke in 2016 when I did my first keynote. Like I speak so much differently now, and I understand the pauses. I understand when to go loud, when to slow down, when to speed up. Like I didn't know all that in the beginning, but you learn that from getting started. Like if you want to create an ebook, create the ebook, get your content in, and list it on Amazon. Right, and then while that's out there making you money, now you make your revisions, right? If you sell five or six again and it's not even perfect yet, at least you prove the concept, right? And the other
Yeah.
thing is be you. I was on a panel. This was maybe about 6 weeks ago, and I had the pre-interview. And the woman says, I expect you to come in professional attire. I said, professional attire. Okay. I said, whose profession are we going by?
Because I run a gym, man.
Bingo. I
Exactly.
said, my
Yeah.
profession allows me to wear a tank top. I
Yep.
said, so, and ironically, that panel was about authenticity. I said, so you want me to come on a panel about authenticity, and I would never, ever wear a long sleeve and a tie into that gym. Ever. I would walk in there, and my clients would be like, who you think you are? Right? Right? So
You're not better
she,
than us, dude. What are you doing? I you
yeah,
know,
like she's not the,
I
sorry,
love
sorry, and
all,
she's not the first one either.
yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah. I love all the words that you have behind you. And I'm just just curious. I didn't really think about this until I'm looking at them together. What's the difference between empower and inspire? Is there a difference between these two? I mean, I love both of them, and I use the word empower a lot. But is there a difference between empower and inspire?
Yeah, so you can watch a video. Somebody could be watching this show right now, right? And they can turn it off. They're inspired, right? They're feeling great, and then they go sit on the couch and they grab a beer, right? When you're empowered, right? When you're empowered, that's a completely different feeling, completely different. So that's something that's inside. Going back to me learning to run again. Like that came from inside. Like every day I had to wake up and get on that grind because that goal was set. Like I will run again. So I had to take those steps I wanted to, regardless if I was in the mood, none of that stuff mattered. Didn't matter if it was sunny, raining, hot, cold. I did what was needed to do. I maximized my physical therapy. I was crutching around Planet Fitness, doing exercises on what I could do. Right? It's like you get those people that hurt their wrist and they're like, "Oh, I can't work out for 6 weeks." Like, what's that got to do with the rest of your body? Right? That just means you can't stress your wrist for 6 weeks. We can work the rest of your body, but that's the difference between those two. Is inspiration is external, right?
Yeah.
Discipline and empowerment is internal. And then once you have those two, right, you start thinking about that purpose. Like, yeah, I can write the book and I can say, yeah, I'm a published author. That means nothing if this book isn't helping people change lives, right? So now it's bigger, and that's what ignites your soul. And then you got to unleash. You got to get your stuff everywhere, right? You got to get it out there. I'm in a couple bookstores. I'm on Amazon. I'm going to an event on Saturday, and I got a box full of books. It's like you just got to get your message out everywhere, because the worst thing you can do, and I'm totally guilty of this, is create a product and then it's just sitting on your hard drive.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just sitting
I
there.
love I love your explanation, bro, of inspire and
Thank you.
empower. That you nailed that. That's 100%. I
Thank you.
love that. That is true. One is external, one is internal. One is fleeting. We can go to a Tony Robbins seminar for 4 days, be totally fucking exhausted, say I'm going to change the world, and then never get off your couch and eat 3 bags of Doritos because it was just
Yes.
this fake inspiration, right? But it wasn't empowering. It's like, I tell I'm a real estate broker by trade, and I've been doing it 35 years, and I tell new agents, I'm like, dude, your business plan is a living, functioning, breathing animal, right? You don't just write a business plan in December and put it in the drawer and look at it again next January, right? That's not how it works. You got to be in your goal planning. You got to be in, your business plan because it changes. You got to be able to change with how things go. And if you just say, I'm just gonna do this for one time, like which I love that. I hurt my wrist, and now I can't work out for 6 months. Like, dude, what about your legs or your other body
Your
parts? I love
core.
this.
That is true. So so to add on to what you just said, in my course framework, I always say most people have an idea and they're masquerading it as a goal. Now, some people have a goal and they're masquerading it as a vision, right? For example, and I'll use fitness. I'll use fitness to illustrate this. People will come in to the gym. The first words I would say, all right, why are you here? And they're like, I just want to get healthier. I said, okay, what does that look like? Like, because, right, like if you're drinking enough water, if you're not drinking enough water, and then today you drink enough water, tomorrow you're healthier, right?
Yeah.
So we need something a little deeper. So, oh, well, I just want to lose weight and tone up. Right? You can tell I've been doing this a long time. I have all the BS already in a row, right? Because everybody says the same stuff. So all
Right.
right, lose weight. How much weight? I said because right now we're in the idea stage, right? You think joining a gym can be helpful, but you don't have it really dialed in on what you want to do. All right, so how much weight? All right, I want to lose 10 pounds. Okay, we just shifted from idea to goal. Okay, you want to lose 10 pounds. Now we got to shift that goal to a vision. Why do you want to lose 10 pounds? What will that do for you? What would that do for your significant other? How will that inspire your children? How will that inspire your coworkers? And once you reach that 10-pound goal, what does that look like for you? How would you reward yourself? It's like, oh, well, I have a family reunion coming up and I haven't seen my family in X amount of years. And there's a dress in my closet that I haven't worn since college. And I want to put that dress on. And and what will that do for you in that moment? How do you feel? Right? It's like you break it all the way down to what it is they want to see. And you now have a vision. Right? So when you have the vision, now empower and ignite can kick in. Right? Because the inspiration takes you to the vision, right? But the empowerment, and then you got to ignite. Or people will say, you need an action plan, but everybody says that. That's why I say you got to ignite, right? Now you got to ignite the flame and go out there and get it.
Yeah. Man, I love that because honestly, you set up a visualization for themselves. So they're not just a goal, they're internalizing now what you're walking them through. They're able to say, I feel that now. I'm not just out here with it, right? It's not just this bullshit
Yes.
dream, goal, whatever. But now you've walked me through this so I can feel this now. And that feeling is a little bit deeper. And now I can internalize that and go, man, I really want this now. Before it was just a goal,
Yes.
it's a dream, but now you've ignited that in me. Like, damn, I really want that now. It's like you telling the doctor, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
dude, no, 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 no. You're not hearing me, bro. It's not whether I'm gonna walk again. All right. And you're not the boss of me. Don't give me that shit. It's like I'm going to
Yeah.
walk again. Or the kidney. It's like, no, 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 no. Don't tell me I'm not gonna do this obstacle course, dude. Just
Yeah.
tell me how to get myself in shape to do it, or I'll go find someone
Yes.
else to do it. But I love the
Bingo.
visualization that you set up because it's a lot more empowering. It's easier to internalize something when you're getting to the why. Don't keep
Yeah.
telling me bullshit up here. Let's get down. You get to the why. It's like your opening question of who are you at the core. I'm like, no, 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 no. I want you to email that to me like 2 weeks before your podcast. The intro's not long enough, bro. I'm not gonna get there. It's too deep for me.
That's great. See, so to illustrate again about just the power of the mind, because a lot of people always say, well, not everyone's cut from the same cloth as you are. You don't have to be, but every single human being on this planet, regardless where you are, has the fight or flight response, right? And the society that we live in now conditions us for flight. They don't condition us to fight, but it might take people longer to get to that fight, but it's in there. Doesn't matter who you are. So one of my clients comes in one day, and I could tell she had been crying. And so she comes up to me and she's like, "Can we talk?" Because like I tell all my clients, like, you guys are ever going through stuff out there in life, and you just want to come in and chit chat, like, come and see me, and I'll help you. I'll help walk you through whatever mess you're going through. So she says the night before, she and her daughter got into a car accident, and I guess her daughter's side took the impact a little worse, and she had some bad damage in her ankle. And so she's like sobbing hysterically now. And she's like, the doctors told her that she's not going to walk again. And immediately coach mode kicked right out. Kicked right out. I mean, like I said, I've never claimed to be the most empathetic person, but like the way my style is, if you're the type that needs the foot on your back, I'm your guy. And I said, Joyce, no, no. I said, look me in my eyes. Don't you dare put that bug in her head that she won't walk again. Now, going back to what I was saying about my knee, same scenario. I said, you need to talk to her with conviction. You need to talk to her in absolutions when you walk again. Because if you put that doubt in there, I said, her brain is going to prepare her to not walk again. I said, I'm telling you that I don't have a degree in any of this stuff, but that's how it works. That's exactly
Yeah,
how it works. And I
that's how it
think it
works.
was four months later she started walking again. But I was like, you tell her every single day, when you walk, when you walk, when you walk. It's the
You
power of
ever you
healing.
ever see the movie with Will Ferrell about Ricky Bobby? He's a race car driver. You ever seen this movie?
I don't think so.
So the
Yeah, that
dude
doesn't
the
ring a
dude
bell.
gets in a wicked car accident. It's Will Ferrell. It's just funnier and shit anyway. So it's a great scene. He's in
Yeah,
the
he is.
hospital. He's in a wheelchair, right? Or he's in the
Yeah.
bed, and his friends come in and like, oh my God, he's gonna die. The doc's like, no, he's not gonna die. He's just asleep. He's like, no, he's gonna die, man. We should put him out of his misery. Well, they don't. The next
Oh,
scene,
geez.
he's sitting in a wheelchair and he's like mad at his friends. Will Ferrell's like, you don't understand. I'll never walk again. And this is horrible. And they're like, dude, you're perfectly fine. And he goes, I am not fine. I'm paralyzed. I'll show you. He takes a knife and fucking jabs it into his leg. And next
Oh
thing
my
he's like,
God.
he
Oh,
gets up
jeez.
and like, see, we told you. But they had told him, Ricky
Oh
Bobby, this
my
is a bad
God.
accident, man. You may never walk again. So that's what he believed. And
He
everyone
took it to
knew it was
heart.
bullshit, right? So they,
Yes.
yeah, until he stabbed himself in the leg, he wasn't going to stand up. But so what all do you have going on now, Robert? You've got the speaking, you've got the coaching, you've got the gym. What all do you have going on right now? You seem you've got a lot going on.
Yeah, I actually gave up two things because I was coaching track and field, and then I work on the weekends at a seasonal restaurant too. But I actually just recently gave up those two, and that way I can focus on everything else that I have going. So I mentioned earlier that I lost everything in 2023. So now
Right.
I'm on a mission for that to never happen again. So I went and I created so far 10 streams of income, right? So
Nice.
now, are they all flourishing at the moment? No, but the streams are there, and so I'm starting to run traffic because like I don't want to bury myself, so I'm doing four at a time. The first four, which is the book, getting paid speaking gigs, monetizing my podcast, monetizing my YouTube channel. And it's not even about just me and making money. It's just taking my messages and just getting them onto as many platforms as possible because people need help, and it's just a
Yeah.
solid side effect that I can get paid for it. But one
Yeah.
one gold mine, like one thing I say all the time to people is that the answer is right in front of you. And so in this book, there's 13 worksheets because people over the years always ask me, like, how are you never in a bad mood? You're always so positive. You're always so upbeat. You're always so this, so that. And so I wrote a book about it. So it shares a hand, it shows a handful of my stories, like some of the major things that I've been through. But there's 13 worksheets in here. And so now there's a couple of new AI tools out there, and people can think what they think about AI. I'm gonna use it while it's usable, right? And
Yeah.
I'm going to convert each one of those worksheets into an ebook, and I'm going to sell
Nice.
them all individually. So
Nice.
on top of the 10 I already have, there'll be another 12 because I converted one already. So there'll be another 12. But it's like, again, this is more so. Here, let me read some of the chapter titles so you can see what some of them are. Like chapter 1 is there's nothing wrong with you. Because
Mm.
most people always say, like, what is wrong with me? Can you fix me? It's like nothing's wrong with you. You just need a new approach. Right? That's what that boils down to. So everything you've tried up to this point doesn't work. So we need a new approach. You know, talking about how the tragic injury was the best thing to happen to me. The pain of your past is fuel for a better future. This is the one I just did. Prioritizing yourself without the guilt. Like a lot of moms struggle with that. And then we get into the action, like what to do before setting a goal, becoming who you need to be to reach your goals. That's a huge one. That keynote I brought up in 2016, that was the title of that keynote. And that was the moment where I knew I was like being drawn into something because there was some
Nice.
bigger name speakers at this event. And this couple and one of their brothers came up to me, all three of them, bawling bawling their eyes out. They're like, we feel like you spoke right to our soul. And I was like, wow. I was like, all right then. But then it goes into
Maybe this shit's gonna work. I don't know, man.
yes, exactly. So how to build a supportive tribe, how to create a plan for success, how to bring your vision to life, how your life stories can change someone's life, and then so on and so forth. So like each one of these can definitely go for like a maybe like a list builder kind of thing. Charge like I don't know, $5.99 for it, something cheap. Get the email list and just get that wide distribution, and then get the ones who because like me, I'm not a book learner. I'm much more a hands-on learner. So for someone like me, I might buy the book thinking I could do it on my own, knowing damn well that I can't. And then whatever the next tier is in their coaching program, I would probably join that because I've done a few of them. That's how I know what I know, being a college dropout, because I traveled the country going to masterminds in Chicago, in Orlando, in North Carolina, in California, Texas, Nevada, Tennessee. I was like, I've been all over learning about marketing, branding, learning how to become an author, learning all of that stuff. Like I learned a lot of the raw skills as a restaurant manager, like HR practices, hiring, firing, organizing staff meetings, sales meetings, things of that nature. So I had that base. So I needed to learn that other stuff so I can in turn teach other people how to do it. Because a couple of the mentors that I had, they said some of the biggest, most profitable niches out there are in how to, right? So how do I prioritize myself? Here you go. How do I assess my tribe without hurting people's feelings or cutting people out? Here you go. So you just figure out what the problems are and then you help people solve them.
Yeah. First off, you said, I mean, shit, you opened up a whole can of stuff right there. But first off is I tell my boys all the time, and they're listening finally, because you go, learn from dad's mistakes, right? I made thousands of
Yes.
them, and you're not going to listen to me on everything, but there's a few things I really want you to listen to. And number one, have multiple streams of income. Do not put
Yes.
all your eggs in one basket. Even if it's Warren Buffett's basket, I don't give a shit,
Yeah.
multiple streams of income, right? So now one of my sons, the real estate company, property management company, the construction company, it's like you have to build stuff for the future. And like Jim Rome always says, go at it as hard as you can today. Do what you have to today so you can do whatever you want to later, right? But don't put it off.
Yes.
Get it going. And the other thing of all the awesome things you said is I think people don't appreciate their tribe enough. We're like, well, we don't want to bother people, or everybody's busy, or I don't want to lean on them for stuff, or I don't want to get involved. But the fact that you said mastermind, I mean, a lot of people don't even know what a mastermind group is anymore, but they're huge.
True.
Right? I mean, a mastermind group will bring you shit you never even thought of. And especially for dudes, I know you work with women, you work with men, so do I, but especially for guys getting in a tribe with other men and really bringing the shit, like really bringing it. We're gonna cry. We're gonna talk these things out. We're gonna seek help because we're afraid to do that out in the real world, right? So your tribe is a
Yes.
really important thing.
Yes. Yeah. So there's a couple things I want to share. So I created an app called Speak Like a Warrior, right? So it's to help male veterans who are suffering with PTSD. So going back to what I mentioned earlier about how I was breaking down storytelling and moving away from the what, this is a literal app doing that. So it's broken down into 21 questions about what they went through. Because my father, he was a Vietnam vet. And it wasn't until maybe a month or so before his passing where he actually shared some major crap that he went through in Vietnam. Like, not something that I'm going to share here, but it was like,
Yeah.
but just ate him up inside. And when he was telling the story, he like broke down. And outside of funerals, this dude never got teary eyed. Like, he was like the epitome of just a stoic, strong man. And so I forgot where I was going with that.
The app for the PTSD
Oh, the
for
app.
with
Yes,
the app.
yes. Yeah, so they're going to go through, they're going to answer the 21 questions, and I have the app connected to Gemini. And so Gemini is going to take those 21 questions and turn it into an inspirational story. So like if they
Nice.
wanted
Wow.
to share their story and they didn't know how, that can at least give them a framework. And you can get in and edit. If you don't like it, you can do a whole remix. So it takes what they went through versus how they survived each day versus how they want to feel in the future, and it just fuses all of those into one presentation. Like, that's going to be
Wow.
a game changer. And I created a second one called Turn Pain to Power, which can help anybody who went through any type of trauma, and do the exact same thing. So it's basically, now I have a worksheet that accompanies the book. So I basically took the worksheet and turned the worksheet into an app.
Dude, you're a machine now. You went from I'll never walk again to I'm a fucking machine. I'm a lean, mean fighting machine. I'm a lean, mean marketing machine, bro. You're out there just
Yes, sir.
grinding that. I love it. And you know what's so funny about us waiters, because I was a waiter for 10 years back in the day, and
Mm.
a lot of waiters, a lot of people do it just during college or this or that, whatever. But a lot of us waiters who really put ourselves in it and did a good job with it are entrepreneurs because basically you show up every day. I looked at my being a waiter as this was my business. When I showed up for work, I was a self-employed business person, and my wait station was my shop, right? And I'm like, I'm going to work this. These people are going to pay me. They're going to love me. They're going to get great service. They're going to pay me because this is my business. I'm not going to show up and go, yeah, whatever. I'm going to have some beer, smoke some weed before I go in because that's going to screw up my business, right? Now, I did plenty of that to back then too, but I mean, so a lot of we grinders who I didn't even get out of high school. So, a lot of us we grinders we get to that point where we start thinking like that, but you're helping people think way outside the box because that app is brilliant, man. That's a great idea. I love the app for the PTSD so that's really awesome. And let's face it, I don't know, there's 20 million veterans who could use that thing at 5.99 or whatever you said, and it's just like
Yeah.
a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Listen, you've Robert B. Foster, you've been awesome, man. I promised I'd get you out of here in an
Thank
hour,
you.
but so before we find out where to get more Robert B. Foster, I lied earlier because I'm a flat out liar, man. I will lie. I will lie to you right now. I said I had one question, but I really have two questions. My last question is, Mr. Robert B. Foster, if you had a message, a thought, uh, fortune cookie quote, if you had something that really means something to Robert B. Foster that you'd like to share before we sign off today, what would that last thought be?
That the answer is right in front of you. Right, the answer is right in front of you. And I'll share quickly two things quickly. So I'm trying to get with this veterans app. I'm trying to get news coverage. So like I've been sending pitches and stuff and all that, but they get like thousands per day. So I was like, I got to figure out how to cut the line. And so I was like, you know what? Let me just drive down to the studio and ask to speak to a producer. And so I get there. I sit about 10 minutes in the car, just gathering, getting my bearings right. So this could be a life changing conversation. It was like, so I get my mind right. I walk up to the door, and it's appointment only. I'm like, crap. All right. So I get back to the gym the next day, and I was just speaking with my personal training client. I was just telling him about what I did. And I'm friends with a couple anchors. And I was like, really? I
No
was like,
shit.
really? So yeah. So I was all right. So we got to talking about who he knows and all that. And then just last night he got me 2 floor seats to the Providence Friars college basketball game. So I went with one of my sons and I got to meet one of the journalists. I got to tell him my story. He said, I can't make any promises. He's like, but send me over your info. He gave me his direct email and he's going to get it to the executive producer. So
Awesome.
it's, and like I say it all the time that the answer is right in front of you. And I've
Yeah.
been working with this guy for like 6 months, and this has never come up in conversation. you know, and so another illustration, quick. So a woman, she actually trains with me at the gym, but we've been like swapping. Like she's been on my show. I go on her IG live, and we're just bouncing ideas off of each other. So I was like, all right, if you wanted to start a podcast, I'm sorry, if you want to get booked on 10 podcasts, what do you do? And so she started saying, I go to Google, I go to this, and you told me about Podmatch, I could get on Podmatch, and you should do this. I said, hello, you should ask me. I said, I know about probably 80 podcast hosts that I can directly connect you with. I said, that's exactly my point, that the answer is right in front of you.
Yeah. And you know what's great about that is honestly, there's 6 degrees of separation. And you know, because you've been doing this, and I freaking love this. These podcasts are my passion, man. I just love this. You know,
Yes.
I'm working to make money now so I can do this. I mean, because this but the people that we meet and the people we connect, it's like people they'll come on the show, and then I just like support the shit out of them. I like reach out to
Yeah.
friends, go, you got to put this guy on your podcast, or you got to look at his product, or this or that, and they reach out to me like, are you? Why are you doing this? I'm like, bro, you gave me an hour of your time, which is you will never get back. It's super valuable. I hate this term, pay it forward, but I just I want you to succeed because you gave me something that's the most valuable thing you have is your time, right? And so the
Thanks.
fact that we could all do this for each other, we could share the people we meet, the stories we get, the connections we make, 6 degrees of separation. It's really awesome. It's really awesome. And like you said, the
I
answer's right in
agree.
front of you. And I tell my boys all the time, ask. Don't stop asking, man, because when you ask people for help, that's not weakness. You know, you've got value. You're a valuable person. You're a valuable human. You're asking someone because it's going to help them. It's going to help you, right? So I love that. Got to share it. We got to share it, brother. We got to share it. So,
Love
all
it.
right, Mr. Robert B. Foster, where does everybody get more Robert? Where can we find you? Where's all your good stuff? And how do we get more of you?
Yeah, so on TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook is at Robert B. Foster. So it's simple enough. Uh, Instagram is Robert_B_Foster. And then my website is robertbfoster.com. And again, the app is speaklikeawarrior.com. Oh, and the book is shutupandgrindbook.com, or you can just search for it on Amazon.
Well, I'm gonna pull up this cover when I do the promo because I'm gonna shoot a promo right now for social media and blow that out there right now. But you've been
Oh,
awesome,
nice.
man. This has been a lot of fun. I love your
Thank you.
inspiration. I love what you're giving to the planet. Energy is everything, right? I mean, energy is
Yes,
everything, and you could spend it
I agree.
negatively or you could spend it positively, and you are spending it positively in a world that definitely needs more positive energy, right?
Thanks. So true. It's
So
crazy.
true. All right, everybody. You have just been gifted with an hour of Robert B. Foster. Please look for him on all of the social media. Look up that book, Shut Up and Grind. It's a winner for sure, and so is Robert. Thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
I'll see you.
Appreciate the opportunity.
Oh, heck yeah. It was fun. I'll talk to you soon. See you guys.
Heck yeah.
Thanks again for joining us on another episode of What If You Could podcast. Please subscribe, like, share, and give us any feedback. We'd love to hear it. And remember, if you can dream it, you can do it. See you next time.